So, the Russians.
You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome to CreepGeeks Podcast. This is Season 10, Episode 365.
Jimothy, ancient swords everywhere, adversarial clothing, flock cameras, ghost house sitting in Japan, and Sharkzilla.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, welcome back to the podcast. If this is your very first time tuning in to the podcast, I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And we're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about in this particular podcast episode. And so we'll just talk about stuff.
Okay.
Yep. This is stuff we find to be interesting because we do like to broadcast our podcast from deep in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Okay.
Little bunker.
Yeah.
Little bunker action. So before we roll into it, this particular podcast is brought to you by Barley's Bites, and Barley's Bites is dedicated to providing top quality homemade dog treats for every doggo to enjoy, and all the treats are made with fresh, healthy ingredients, no harmful chemicals, which ensures your pet gets the best possible nutrition. Our dog Jack likes them. He really enjoys the beef liver treats,
yes,
amongst other things, and they're pretty good. Yeah. If you go to barleysbites.com, you can check out what they got because they do ship all over the place, and you can enter in a special code. This is right. You got to write it down. CreepGeeks, and you get a discount. It's good stuff. We order all the time. So
yeah, and if you are listening on a Saturday, they may be at the Albuquerque Rail Yards in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah,
and me and the creator of Barley's Bites were talking earlier this week. Apparently, they've actually boothed next to a jewelry artist I follow on Instagram, and I was like, wait a second, these pictures look familiar, and I was like, do you know where this is? Oh yeah. So it was like a little small world moment there, but yeah.
Nobody else can share in but you.
Well,
let me tell you a little story.
Yeah, well, anyways.
No, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of messing around. Know what I mean? Just kind of keep it real. That's it.
Well, it's cool because
I'm trying to turn the volume down on my phone.
Because Barley Bites are
Barley's Bites.
Yeah, Barley's Bites. They're small, in-home. Like, what do you call it when it's like not cottage core, but like
cottage,
like where
artisan.
Yes, artisan. Right.
There you go.
And the jewelry person I follow on Instagram started at home as well, learning how to make jewelry. So it's like
nice.
Yeah. Like side hustles going big. So yeah.
Well, side hustles have become popular.
Yeah. Or a necessity.
Yeah. Or both. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the past 6 years or so?
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's all good. So when we do our podcast, we do like to ask for interaction. If you'd like to share something, that kind of thing. Maybe you have an interesting story or something like that. We do have a toll-free phone number that you can call, or you can use the same number to send a message.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Yes. Yeah. And, if you send us something, we'll put it on the show.
Yeah.
Unless it's full of cuss words. And then we'll just take the cuss words out. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, in our last podcast episode, we talked, well, I can't say, but yeah, it is the last podcast episode. Was it the last or what? Anyway, we talked about allergies, which sort of piggybacked off of what we talked about before with the whole AC thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
As in the lack of air conditioning in Europe, just wiping out a bunch of people. And, Europe has the idea, or not Europe, I shouldn't say all of Europe. Just what they see in the media is that we're just weak and soft and backwoods and all this crazy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they've been around, and they'll tell you, thousands of years before you ever even existed in your country. It's like, but you don't have air conditioning, bro.
Yeah.
That should be a requirement, I would think, for the advancement of society. And when you look at a society as a whole and say, what can set you apart compared to an ancient society? We have air conditioning. Ancient society may not need air conditioning, but, as we all are aware, we have this, what is it called? Global climate change.
Yeah.
Well, things have changed. Things get hot. In some places in the U.S., you kind of create your own little microclimate because of things like roads, because they trap the heat and all that sort of thing. And in Europe, their roads are a little smaller. That kind of thing. But whatever, man. Before going off, but so we sort of segued in talking about allergies and how allergies are bad here, and that in Europe they have different allergies, of course. But we kind of poked fun at weak allergies over there. Right?
Well, I mean, or just general constitution to things that are air, temperature, allergies, and this listener message that came in. Does talk about allergies over in the UK, and it says, "Hey y'all, American married to a Scot here. Just wanted to offer my 2 cents about allergies and the UK. Allergies are indeed a thing over there. Even with all the rain and lack of sun, allergies exist. Most of the allergies are to the trees, grass, and the mold from all the moisture.
Yeah.
While they do not have the yellow bomb that we get here in the US, it manifests in its own hellish way. The Scotsmen and the kiddos cannot tolerate trees and grass. I erroneously thought when I moved over there that my American-born allergies would decrease. Beep that. Nope, that did not happen. Something that makes the allergies worse is that many have allergy-induced asthma, mostly with the damp and cold weather.
Yeah, the dank.
Yeah, the dank. And
and that's true because when we moved to New Mexico, I lost a lot of hay fever allergy type stuff and got it replaced with dirt allergy type stuff. So there's really no winning. There's no safe place to be.
And we moved back here, and now I really do have to use an inhaler at least a couple times a week.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty crappy.
Yeah.
So there's no winning. There's no, no safe place to be. Yeah, and you can go to an allergist where they'll give you shots for like 22 weeks and say, you may or may not be cured by the time this is all done. It's kind of like, it seems like a whole lot.
Yeah, sure does.
Keep buying stock and allergy medicine. So, But yeah, that's true. So I do appreciate, the comment and reaching out. It's very nice. And, Europe's still pretty weak.
Stop.
Well, it's true. I mean, come on, air conditioning.
I still have, and it's funny because like air conditioning, it's still in the conversation, how we're affecting climate change with our air conditioning, and that's why Europeans don't have it.
Well, it's not the same as like slavery. I mean, come on, it's just air conditioning.
It's climate. Okay.
No, it's not. That's
climate change. All right. Anyways, they say that it's unnecessary and that it affects, our emissions and our total fossil fuel usage and all this other stuff, and that we don't need it when there are European ways to handle the heat. And again, Europe does not have the same levels of humidity we do. And in places where we have desert in the United States, because we are such a large, vast conglomeration of landscapes, the heat wave going through Europe right now where they're like, it's a shocking 30 degrees Celsius or something, because I don't do measurements.
Well, you have to do it in millimeters.
Yeah, millimeters or whatever, right? And it's like, I'll go and I'll put whatever the temperature is into Google, Celsius to Fahrenheit, and I'm like, oh, they have an 80-degree heat wave. And then I'll go look up where our friend Dave or my friend Devin live, and I'm like, that is a Tuesday in winter for them. You know, it's it makes me mad when, we have places in the United States that are averaging 109 degrees for weeks at a time.
Yeah, 80's nice. 80's a nice temperature here.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is nice. So, I mean, it is what it is. The World Cup kids came over from all the different countries and stuff, and a whole lot of them were complaining about the heat. And England was right up at the top of the list. It's so hot. Mm-hmm. We can't play. We don't want to play in environments like this. And so they switched things to nighttime. They did all that sort of thing. So this is kind of It is what it is, man. There's no reason to, have that many people die from not having air conditioning because you're worried about the planet. Because honestly, to say that air conditioning and the emissions, would cause more climate change, maybe not. One volcano makes a little rumble and can spit out more CO2 and everything else than, all of Europe combined. It's happened before.
Yeah.
It'll all happen again. So it's all a cycle, I guess. So in one of our previous podcast episodes, I think going back maybe a year, probably longer.
No, actually, I think this was like the beginning of this year or end of last year-ish.
Well, okay, so last year sometime, I started to go back to try to find the episode, and I got distracted by something else. But anyway, there was a released recording of a Campbell's Soup executive basically saying that, the people that buy soup in a can are just,
not worthy of fresh ingredients.
Made it like we're all, so, and then, along with that came out some of the things that he said sort of alluded to about not using real meat, like artificial meat. And I'm not talking about tofu, which is the closest thing that I would probably eat if you want to consider it to be artificial meat.
Yeah.
So it became a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I stopped buying Campbell's soup for a minute. Instead, I'm just going to have to switch over to Progresso, which is probably the same thing. I'm going to pay more.
I'm going to get by the same
I'll
people?
show you. I'm not that, I don't know, destitute where I can't afford it or whatever. So it's probably owned by Campbell's. Who knows? But it seemed like they had better ingredients and stuff, and the soup arguably is better, right? Mm-hmm. Although I still like Campbell's split pea soup. Because it's kind of packed in the can. It's kind of weird to get it. But so I like it. But so they've recently changed their advertising campaign.
Yeah.
And started putting labels on their cans, Campbell's Soup, and it basically says, no artificial meat.
Okay.
Now, I'm of the mind that if you have to advertise it, you've been doing it. Why would you even put that on there? You could have just put made with natural ingredients or whatever. But no, you went straight to no artificial meat, guys. We've never had artificial meat in there. They could have put that on the can.
Yeah.
Never, we have never had artificial meat, that kind of thing, but they didn't.
Yeah.
So they stuck it on there. So it's sort of a thing that, they're announcing it, change the labels up a little bit. You still have the red and white Campbell's at the top, and it'll say condensed soup in gold underneath it, but it says no, high quality ingredients, no artificial meat, dead center. So in your chicken noodle, no artificial meat. Cream of mushroom, no artificial meat. And it makes me wonder, I didn't think cream of mushroom had meat in it. So why is it on there? So they're putting it on everything. Tomato soup, no artificial meat. I think if I cracked open a can of Campbell's condensed tomato soup and it had meat in it, I would probably throw up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it says real ingredients you can trust. Now I don't trust you.
Yeah.
It's like whoever...
And then on top of that, to make it worse, their official statement regarding putting this on the labels is that Campbell's does not use 3D printed chicken, lab-grown chicken, or any form of artificial or bioengineered meat in our soups, the company said. It added that its poultry comes from long-trusted, USDA-approved U.S. suppliers. And the last part of that is the worst thing they could say right now when we're all upset over food suppliers and this whole cytospora diarrhea lettuce outbreak.
Explosive diarrhea.
Yes, that's right. So, they're not doing themselves favors by making a statement like that.
Well, so the guy was Martin Bally. He was the vice president in Campbell's Information Technology Division. He was the one that basically made the comments where he made some disparaging remarks about Indian employees and stuff like that. And the people who buy the cheap soup. And it's like this is directed to the people that buy the cheap soup. It's like now I feel almost like kind of talking down to you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, dummies. No artificial meat in here, only the finest quality. It's like buying, you go and you get, crab rangoon from a Chinese food place, right? And it's usually delicious and usually doesn't really contain any crab meat. So I eat it because I have a shellfish allergy, right? So I'm like, Sometimes, though, we'll go to a place where the crab rangoon is more expensive, and it does have crab meat in it. And I can tell.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I like it when they use only personally for me, the finest quality imitation crab meat. So I don't know, but it just, Campbell's is a pretty big company for soup, and they're coming out with these labels, man, that are slightly off-putting to me. I don't know. Because when you put real ingredients you can trust, the conspiracy in me is like, I think you're trying to pull the okey doke in me. What else is in here? Because I'm sure if you start looking, So, yeah, they got their new high-quality ingredients line. Now, I haven't been in the store to see if they have regular quality ingredients. Are they just going to say, let's go ahead and kick this up a notch and make it more expensive? So now you're like, well, I definitely don't want the stuff that may or may not have imitation artificial ingredients in there, like 3D printed meat. So I'm going to step up to the green labeled can and get the good stuff, the higher quality ingredient stuff. So somewhere they probably tried to spin this in a way that's going to make them more money. Let's change the label a little bit, make it green because green is good. Mm-hmm. And, and we'll sell you a more expensive can of soup, which is probably the same stuff. Same good can of stuff you bought before if they had no artificial meat in there or whatever. This could be a relabeling thing because they came out and denied it. Have they proven that they didn't put any artificial meat in there? Maybe it's going to go back the way it used to be where you just use real cast-off chunks of chicken in your chicken soup. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, no artificial meat labeling. And that's they're trying to rebuild customer trust from 2025. So, yeah, it happened last year. So, okay, so the move comes more than 8 months after a leaked audio recording capture. So, you didn't do it right away. It probably took them 8 months to come up with this, and they finally gave up and said, let's just put it right in front, guys. No artificial meat. We're using high-quality ingredients. They came out with one thing, basically saying that the statements do not represent Campbell's views, and the person who made them is no longer with the company. So that's pretty nice. But they never came out and said, we do not use artificial meat. You remember? Mm-hmm. They were just like, this isn't in line with our values, guys. They never addressed the scary part. They went straight to the, hurt feelings part of people being, incensed over offensive comments. Whereas me, I zeroed in on wait a minute, why aren't they denying artificial meat? So, in my mind, they're using artificial meat. Or they were.
Yeah. Well, it could be the whole waiting 8 months, waiting for, let's see.
Remember what he said, who buys our shit?
Yeah.
I don't buy Campbell's products barely anymore. It's not healthy now. And he says, it's not healthy now that I know what the F's in it. So maybe dude was actually telling the truth. He's part of it. The insult part is, not good. But if he ain't eating it,
So they had a 4.4% decline this year. Last year, they had a 2.9% decline. Yeah, I think that's...
So they're already down from... So 2026, they're down double, almost double.
Yeah.
What they were before.
Yeah.
As of July 2026, cell-cultured meat remains unavailable in widespread U.S. grocery stores. It says, though limited approvals for restaurant use occurred in 2023.
However...
Cell-cultured proteins.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal reports continued weak demand for snacks and soups over the past year.
Because they're expensive.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's all I can read from this Wall Street Journal article because I'm not going to pay
anymore. And now they're putting the label protein on everything and jacking the price up and giving you less. Mm-hmm. You're like, ooh, it's got protein in it, guys. Nobody has, that I have seen, addressed how they're putting what's the more protein. They're probably going to come out and say it's bugs, guys. They're putting bugs on it. They grind it all up and they spray it on there, right? It's a cheap protein.
God, I cannot read these charts. I don't know if it's a 2.9 loss or if that's like the total.
I don't care. We're done with that anyway.
Oh well.
I've started using. I've started spending the extra $1 and getting Progresso,
which is owned by General Mills.
Oh, so it's not owned by Campbell's. No. Who owns Campbell's? Vanguard.
No, Campbell's.
Black Rock.
Did you know at one point Campbell's owned Godiva? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. So, there you go. Campbell's soup. No artificial meat. Green label. Green is good. And just remember, that's probably not for poor people because that's what Martin Bailey said.
I cannot believe.
Or Bailey. This shit's for poor people.
And you know what's funny?
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, the whole reason, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And it's kind of been that way. It's condensed soup. It's shelf-stable food type thing. You can grab a can. And back when they didn't have expiration dates and things like that on food, I mean, you can have a can of soup 4 or 5 years old. Mm-hmm. That and the beans. Hobos, used to see the hobos eating soup out of a can along with beans, little soup cans.
My thing is, you know who I see buying Campbell's soup? Older people. Because younger people who are broke buy the generic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But older people are buying it, a lot of them, because that's a sort of a cast off from their generation before them.
Yeah.
Where, okay, so I'm older, but my grandparents kind of lived in the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so they did everything. Like they had a victory garden, they had a root cellar, they had all that stuff because that's what they had to do. It wasn't a thing to be able to go to the grocery store and get everything, right? It wasn't like that. That really kicked off in the 50s and 60s and all that stuff with the boom coming back from World War II and all that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's just what you did. And they collected cans and they kept the soup cans and they did the whole jarring and canning and all of that stuff to make it to where they had all the stuff to eat. So, the Great Depression scare, and that's how it was, is what they did. And they trickled some of that down to, like, my dad, who's, I guess, in the boomer generation, but whatever. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it really sort of got popular, like I said, like in the 50s, late 50s and stuff. And TV dinners became a thing, and processed food started becoming more and more popular. And you could get, like, dog food. That's from the whole campaign. Don't feed your dog scraps. Feed them this cast-off grain.
Yeah.
That's made, that was primarily made out of scraps and leftovers and stuff for cattle, right? If you can feed your cow this stuff, you can certainly feed your working dog. So.
Yeah.
And I get it. There are some foods that humans consume that animals like dogs shouldn't consume. But at the same time, you can't tell me that dehydrated hockey puck, that kibble, that you pull out of there is better than a piece of rotisserie chicken. I know which one he prefers. Rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got good stuff that's been freeze-dried and whatever, like made with real stuff where it's not like, let's add a whole bunch of junk, fillers and things like that. But if it's like actual like beef liver, because this dude, he gets mad when he doesn't get his beef liver treats.
He throws a little fit.
Yeah. From Barley's Bites, because that's what it is. It's beef liver. It's not like, let me add some grain, some alfalfa, whatever, stuff. It's none of that. So, I mean, honestly, you could put it in your own food if you want. I don't like liver, but can you imagine? If the end of the world comes, we'll be sprinkling some Barley's Bites, making some broth, get some bone broth action going on. Put, 3 or 4 chunks of beef liver in there and be like, mmm.
You really appreciate that.
I'm not us.
No, I don't like
if it's
liver.
in the world, man. I don't either. But you know what? In the world, you might need that. I mean, a little protein and iron and all the alleged good stuff that comes from eating an organ meat. Mm-hmm. Which is just, I've never really liked liver. I don't like liver mush. I don't like scrapple. I don't like the brain stuff. It's gross. Mm-hmm. But in the world comes, I'm like, you got any more of that? Let me get a little of that. I'll change my tune with a quickness. I'll eat a squirrel right out of the tree if it came down to it. Live like our great-great-great-grandparents. Yeah. So speaking of great-great-grandparents, you know how you go back in time and you the whole King Arthur legend and all that, finding the sword and the stone and all that jazz?
Yeah.
Well, you pointed this out, if I'm even looking in the right spot. 'Cause everything we talk about in the podcast is available at creepgeeks.com in our show notes, so you can come and take a look.
So I just find it funny that this is happening in waves, and it seems like within the past year, lots of ancient swords have been found. And I tried to go back and look, and so far I've found 3 articles. This latest one is from July 20th. This man discovers an ancient 2,700-year-old sword while walking through the forest. Now, there's some other articles that talk about finding a sword, like, upright and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when you look for this particular article, it does mention maybe it being upright at first when he first discovered it, but it says he found it with a metal detector, and it's a 2,700-year-old sword. He was a hobbyist metal detector strolling through the Gdansk Forest District when he detected something hidden beneath the dirt. Standing upright beneath his feet was a bronze sword from the late Bronze Age, estimated to 2,700 years old. This well-preserved blade dates back to 900 or 700 BC, according to researchers.
Hey.
Now, the artifact was collected by archaeologists after the hobbyist reported it to heritage officials. Authorities said it would be studied more before being placed in a museum. And then, June 18th, a 6-year-old boy spotted something sticking out of the ground in a field. It turned out to be a Viking sword. And this kid, Henrik Rensfies Mordvet, was on a school field trip when he found the 1,200-year-old weapon. The single-edged blade will now be preserved at the Oslo Museum. But this one was also sticking straight up. So him and some other classmates were tasked for finding rocks for an arts and crafts project, and he just decided to wander off, and he spotted a piece of metal protruding from the ground. This part stuck out, and he points to the top of the sword. He's like, it was rust and dirt, so I thought I'd pick it up and see what it was. Okay. And then we have the...
If this happened in the U.S., he'd probably get suspended for bringing a weapon to school because they don't allow common sense.
Hiker uncovers 1,500-year-old gold sword relic similar to Excalibur hidden under a tree. And this one was in Norway. This guy unearthed a 1,500-year-old gold sword hidden beneath a tree. So we've got like Norway, we've got Oslo or something like that. We've got another place. And all these people have swords sticking out of the ground. The first thing I think is King Arthur, you know?
Yeah.
So which one of these 3 is going to be the next king?
None of them.
But it'd be great.
I tell you what, if I found a gold sword, you probably would never hear about it.
Yes, that's the other thing. You
Until
know?
you get arrested for taking it to Pawn Stars. I remember that shit. There. Fun fact, I've been to Oslo.
Yeah.
Yep. We went and looked at Viking ships and stuff. And since we had this VHS, it would record video on a full VHS tape, and it was white.
Yeah.
And we put a Com Desgru 2, which is Commander Destroyer. I can't even talk today. Group 2 sticker on there because we were in the Navy at the time. I think they thought we were like a news crew because they gave us like unfettered access to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was actually pretty cool. We went to Oslo, Stavanger, a bunch of places because we would pull in and do tours and stuff so people could come on the ship and check it out. And there was a little, some of the guys that were being tour guides were just making up, details about our ship. Like it shoots missiles, 100,000 miles and all, and just like really being out there with the details.
Yeah.
Until he got caught by somebody who was, a military aficionado and knew all about, the details of the ship and stuff like that. So he was an enthusiast and he was calling him on it. So I thought that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
He was no longer allowed to be a tour guide, but he was just embellishing the details for his own personal amusement. He got popped. It's like the guy's like, no, because you go over to places like Norway, Oslo, and they speak really, really good English. So nice little country accent. You're like, where is this guy from?
Yeah.
So it was a fun time. We went to where that giant ski jump is. It was in the Olympics. I think it was in Lillehammer for the Olympics. They had this big giant ski jump and stuff. And it was crazy, right? Because we were there, it was still like wintertime kind of for us. But for them, it was like spring, man. And they were jumping off the ski jump, the downhill ski jump, into like water. Just kids.
Yeah.
Like you see a kid go whizzing by, like 75 feet in the air. Just, it was nuts, man. It was funny. It's like, whoa. Like what you do for fun, I guess,
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of the place. So anyway, that was pretty cool. So we had a good time when we were there. And everything was moist. And the fjords were neat and deep.
Lillehammer 94.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were there a couple years after that.
Yeah.
So it still looked all fresh and stuff, It wasn't all... It seems like that happens with a lot of countries that host the Olympics. After they leave, the Olympic buildings and stuff sort of start to fall apart. Because it's a lot of money to keep that sort of infrastructure thing going on. So, was it 92, 93? I can't remember. Anyway, I thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, we've talked about people finding swords in previous years of the podcast too.
Yeah.
Like one kid who basically said that he had learned about the legend of King Arthur and the Lady in the Lake and all that stuff, actually found a sword in the lake. He just knew, He's like, oh, this is it. So it may have been last year we talked about somebody finding a sword in the lake.
We've talked about it.
I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about,
Yeah.
all the wars that were fought, and that was a primary weapon for years and years. I mean, probably thousands of years was,
But also the fact that we, 3 within this year.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1 or 2 in the past couple years. It makes me wonder, like, erosion and stuff like that. Because, what was it, in the 1800s was when people first started discovering dinosaurs. And it was, and now it's like...
Well, it's
yeah.
starting to identify dinosaurs.
Or yeah, so it's like, is Europe now in a place where erosion and time has shifted things enough that we're going to start finding really old stuff,
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know.
Well, they did find something similar in the U.S. I think it was in Arizona. It was a really nice rifle that had been laid up against a tree and had been there for like 180 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So this kind of ties into a couple different things, but I like the whole adversarial clothing that you stuck in here.
Oh, yeah. Did you want to talk about this one?
No.
I actually heard about this last year with some small company putting them out on an Instagram page. I had no idea because I was like, wow, that's a cool hoodie. And then all this stuff about it going through surveillance. And I was like, now it's a really cool hoodie. I bet this is super expensive. Well, now this concept, adversarial clothing, designed to confuse facial recognition systems, is going mainstream as more like designers are starting to create adversarial clothing. As facial recognition technology is rolled out across Britain's public spaces, a new generation of designers say privacy could be the next big fashion trend. Companies have started incorporating adversarial patterns in their garments, carefully designed arrangements of shapes, colors, and repeated motifs said to exploit weaknesses in some computer vision for systems. The designers say advances in computing have made it easier to incorporate such patterns into commercially viable garments. Experts caution that the effectiveness of the patterns depends on the surveillance system and the conditions in which it is used.
Yeah.
But Nick Tidball, the co-founder of the clothing brand Volbach, thinks adversarial clothing could be on the cusp of going mainstream. Anti-surveillance feelings are so widespread that that all it would take is for a single celebrity to wear one of these garments currently popular in the counterculture fashion world to a high-profile event for it to take off, he said. And I want to stop right there because there's already certain types of clothing to protect celebrities against paparazzi. Like there's this one uniquely patterned scarf that I think it was like Tom Holland, Zendaya, and then one of their friends was the one who actually showed it to him, and it was an older actor. So it was like all three of them were going out to lunch, and they walked past another actor that they kind of know, and he had a different version of the same scarf on because paparazzi were like, taking pictures, and the scarf basically makes the flash bounce back.
Yeah, it's just reflective.
Yeah. And there's other ones where it's not just reflective, but it just causes like weird stuff.
Yeah, it keeps the camera from autofocusing.
Yeah. And I kind of agree because paparazzi.
Well, this is not new.
Yeah.
Because you've got camouflage clothing in general is considered adversarial because it obscures, being able to identify who's wearing it. Ships in World War II had all these crazy patterns painted them all over them so that when you looked at the ship, you couldn't tell like how deep it was or how deep it sat in the water. Because, back then, the draft of the ship, that determined where you set the torpedo depth because you need the torpedo to ride at a certain depth so it can actually hit it. So if you have this crazy pattern painted on your ships and you think the depth or the draft of that ship is 30 feet and you turn around and set your torpedo at like 30 feet, but it's really 26 feet or even less, a torpedo is going to pass right underneath it. So, and it goes back even further. I mean, where people have camouflaged the way they look and things like that. But now we're all doing it for a completely different reason. We're not doing it to stay away from a predator or somebody who may or may not attack us. We're doing it from, the whole surveillance, the whole nanny thing, the whole nanny state, the whole, because we're just being electronically monitored all the time now. And it's even worse because in the U.S., we're starting to fight these flock cameras, which the cameras were set up, and of course they were, we're here to protect and we're here to do all this. And it's only the good reasons and it's for safety.
Yeah.
But come to find out, a lot of these flock cameras that are being put up maybe don't have that in mind because the idea that law enforcement can be sitting at a desk somewhere and just watching things and go, I think there's a crime there.
One of the most...
Right? But the problem that you actually have is that there's a human element to it.
Yes.
And they've already had instances where law enforcement have used the stuff that they weren't supposed to use, the video footage, right? The information, electronic information that they've got to basically go after people. And that's allegedly not what Flock was designed to do. And Flock is doing things like tracking kids, right? And tracking people in places where they're not supposed to track. And that information allegedly dies after 30 days or whatever. What's to keep law enforcement from downloading the copies that they want and then introducing that in court cases to get you convicted of something?
Which is a great point because you're talking about it takes the human element and the human deciding to use a software or tool for bad as opposed to because everybody's trying to talk about how the flock cameras can help with human trafficking, how they can help locate missing children, silver alerts, elderly people getting lost. Ring was trying to talk about how many dogs get saved with Ring camera. It's one of the.
Remember, Amazon bought Ring and set up like that just by using the camera. If you didn't opt out, it would make your entire network.
Yeah,
and then they would turn around and give that access to the police.
And that's the thing because like one of my favorite channels, We Rate Dogs, they did a very good in depth about how untrue it is, right? Yeah. They were like, no, in fact, whereas only in a span of 1 year, 16 dogs were found using this software. This software was illegally used to find undocumented people, which is another thing because Flock is a network and it has parameters. And the software engineers for Flock have been putting in different types of safeguards that still abide by our Constitution. However, some of these police departments, specifically Georgia, an AI audit showed over 20 Georgia police officers misusing flock cameras, and it goes so far to say of that 20, half of them are still being investigated by the Georgia FBI because once they were reprimanded, they just found different ways to type what they wanted.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. I mean, this isn't, we haven't found like Pablo Escobar with these. We're just finding random people on the street, or the random woman with a substance abuse problem, or the random guy who...
Or the random lady who was driving up and down the same block, right?
Yeah.
'Cause she actually lives on that block.
Yeah.
And they were like, were you here at this time in this place? And she was like, no. And
the scale of the tool is not reflecting the scale of the crimes it's being used for, and the scale of not crimes. There are...
See, that's what I worry about. You're doing your normal thing, and then all of a sudden you're being accosted.
I don't think I found it or included it in here, but there's been some cases in northern New York where that's what's happening.
Yeah. Now, look, the cops that are doing the good thing and the people that are doing the good thing and doing it correctly and abiding by the rules, you're not going to hear any of that.
Yeah.
You're only going to hear the bad side of things. And I know that, let's say the majority, let's say 99 or 98% or people are trying to use it, whoever's authorized to use it, are using it correctly, but it's that 2%. And, if you look at the odds, you're like, well, that's probably never going to happen to me. But if it does, what are you supposed to do?
And it's determined by scale.
Yeah.
With the increase of these flock cameras and the increase of different levels or types or agencies having access to it, that percentage is just going to change.
And the government's not.
Yeah.
The state, county, local governments, they're not stupid. If they know that they're not allowed to access it, but maybe another law enforcement agency can, they just send a request. Hey, can you do me a favor? We're wondering.
Yeah.
And somebody who is authorized to do that because they have different rules for different setups, right? Go, oh, well, I can't tell you that Omi was driving really fast with her hair on fire,
Yep.
in and around Tuesday to Thursday between, okay.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because guess what? With Echelon, we weren't allowed to spy on our own country.
Yeah.
Australia is. Australia wasn't allowed to spy on its own country. America is. You see what I'm saying? That's how they do that kind of thing.
And if you think that Greg's example is far-reaching, it's not, because there are North Carolina law enforcement offices that just happen to always have a deputized Homeland Security officer in them, or always seem to always have a DEA agent at them.
And that's even prevalent in television too. Like, look at Bones. There's an FBI agent there, and you look at the other show we were watching for a while. Like, it went right out of my head. Also, a dedicated FBI agent there.
Oh yeah.
And then you have a conglomerate. You can have a task force. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
In a task force, you may not be allowed to do it because your law, your rules, right? But
your task force has like one or two fish and game people. They can do anything.
And those guys are like, oh, we think you're hunting stuff. Of course, we don't need a warrant to come on your property. Yeah. It goes so far as like you have law enforcement agencies that actually have the ability to take your phone when it's like requesting information, like maybe you're sending a text message or whatever, and spoof it. And so your information goes to that router, which goes to them, because it creates its own little mini cell phone tower.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I'll pass your information along, but we're going to look at it first. And for a while there was no warrants necessary or needed for that at all. And what they would say is, oh, well, that's just out in the open, man. We can't help it if the phone connected to it. And it's like, dude, you're spoofing the cell phone tower.
Yep.
And there needs to be we need more restrictions in place. I mean, if you're bad and you get caught, I mean, it is what it is. If you're doing a good thing and it's helping people, yeah, that is what it is too. But it's the people that are looking to create a crime for you.
Yeah.
Because that's the job. You get pulled over and they want to know all the information. Hey, man, how you doing? Where you're coming from? And all. That's not there just to be friendly and polite. They have to build a case. You have to justify the stop. And they're getting that information to justify the reason why they pulled you over. And even if it's an obvious reason, they're going to ask you those questions because people tell police information. And then when you say, I don't answer questions, or I don't want to answer that, then, a lot of times it turns into an ego thing.
Yep.
And not all cops are bad at all. I'm just saying.
Well,
and that was one of the things they taught us when we went to cop school. Hey, everything they say can and will be used against them. So, you need to find out that pertinent information. And plus, I've been watching a lot of Law and Order. Mm-hmm. So I know what's up. And a lot of Am I Being Detained videos. But I mean.
And speaking, like you were talking earlier about, hunting and fishing game and things like that. I put in here.
Yeah, game warden just walk right on your stuff.
An area that typically doesn't. It's less populated than where we live. This is Rutherfordton County. For some reason, Rutherfordton County has a lot of flock cameras. And recently...
They got a good deal, I guess.
They got destroyed.
Oh, no.
And they're putting it in the news that these flock cameras are $3,500 each to replace. The thing is, the taxpayers voted against them and are being asked to pay for them. So when the county and the town are saying, stop doing this, stop destroying the flock cameras, these cost money, and that's a burden on the taxpayers are coming right back with, we didn't want to pay for them.
Yeah, we didn't want them in the first place.
Where's the ordinance where we got to vote saying we wanted these or not?
If you go into an oil change place
yeah.
and say, I would like an oil change,
yeah.
and they rotate your tires and change the brakes and all that stuff, you can turn around and go, I did not authorize that. I did not want that. And you don't have to pay that.
Yeah.
They'll try to make you pay.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay it. When it comes to like data centers and flock cameras and things like that, and the constituents are like, we don't want this, and it happens anyway, it's almost like you have no recourse.
Yeah. Now, the flock cameras in Rutherford County were like the first ones that I had heard about getting destroyed. And then within a week, some in the ones in the county right next to us got destroyed. And they were all destroyed by a woman who lives in the same county as us. And I was like, she was not having it. Well, then this one guy gets accused of destroying these flock cameras in West Virginia. And everybody on the page announcing he'd been arrested was commenting that there was no way he could be charged with damage, destruction, or theft of equipment used by emergency responders and conspiracy to commit a felony because he was fill in the blanks. They're like, this man was sitting with me playing gin rummy at 5 p.m.
I mean, if they were used the way, if all of this surveillance stuff, if it was being used in a way it was pitched, great, but it's not. It's the sort of abuses of it or the skirting into the gray area that gives me pause because, what may be normal activity for you to a complete stranger whose job it is to look for you doing bad things, that could become the crime of the century. I mean, we've talked about in the podcast before where training only goes so far. And there's definitely a cutoff with the training, and I think a lot of that is to keep some of it keep some ambiguousness to whatever. Where people were being arrested for the frosting off of Krispy Kreme glazed donuts, and then put in jail, and then by the time they come back with the results, they'd already lost their jobs because now they got a record of arrest. They didn't show up to work, money, time, and then they have to fight it in court. And then they have to go back to court to get that removed. Sometimes they have to talk to the DA, and it becomes this thing where you can destroy someone's life over the frosting of a Krispy Kreme donut because you weren't trained enough, or they were trained 7 years ago. Sometimes you got to do refresher training, and the one thing that no department, company, whatever, puts enough money into is training and retraining because they'll be fine until something bad happens.
Continued education or continued training.
Yeah.
And
because training has no return on investment. It's hard to put down on a piece of paper what training does. And you can squint your eyes and go, well, and it's true, trust me.
And that mindset needs to change because even in my current job, marketing, I make a very big deal of talking about I got to do this webinar. I got to do this workshop, these online
you can't stay
things.
Current if you don't.
Because I don't want to end up behind the times. I'm already behind the times in marketing because I live in a rural area that is less digitally strong.
Yeah.
So
prevalent.
Prevalent. So I can't even imagine any
That's why you wind up
with,
no artificial meat dead center of your can.
Yeah.
when it should have just been a little blurb on the side somewhere.
Yeah, but I do love some of these excuses for this guy in West Virginia. He was saving my neighbor's dog from a fire all day. It couldn't have been him. This guy can't be on the guy. We were both on the operating table together. He gave me a kidney. I'll vouch for him.
I've seen things like, did you know that a Sawzall can cut through a... You know, and my favorite, did you know that these flock cameras have 450 pounds of copper in them?
Yeah.
It's just like,
There's this comedian, Justin Darnell. His TikToks and his reels are amazing, but he broke down like what's really in them, and he's like, wink, wink. But then he made an exaggerated one, like, I heard flock cameras have diamonds and methamphetamines in them.
Yeah. And this is, it's one step beyond the traffic camera, the speed cameras that nobody likes.
Yeah. I don't
this is kind of like, what are you supposed to do if you are hauled into court for something that you may or may not have done and they whip out some video footage? And it may be innocuous, but they could cater it towards their use, man. I mean, it happens.
I don't like the Orwellian 1984 type nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean, and no matter your political alignment, this is not good for anybody. And it's just...
And why do they have people sitting there monitoring this? Like, that's their job. It was supposed to be, if you need to look, you can look. But here it is. You got some dude sitting at a desk. Maybe he hurt himself or whatever. Maybe he's on limited duty type thing. And his job is just to sit there and look. And they're not even talking about the perverts. There are tons of perverts that are be looking at this stuff too.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned that because like there's this engineer up in Virginia. He's pleading not guilty after destroying these AI things with like a hacked license plate reader thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that guy is an engineer. The guy from West Virginia just decided, I'm going to walk up behind the flock camera and destroy it, allegedly.
Well, yeah, you don't want to.
Why didn't...
But see, if he had been wearing adversarial clothing and these, super realistic masks that you can get from Temu and off TikTok shop, because they're not like a rubber mask that you put on. It's just like putting a nylon like pantyhose on your head, but there's a face printed on it. And when you get it situated, it looks, if you had to identify somebody and you're 20 feet away, you're like, yeah, that's for sure. That was Jackie Chan.
Okay.
Because it looks like Jackie Chan. Like, not, and I'm like, what do you mean? And you can buy them. They're pretty inexpensive. And so far, the ones I've seen, I've seen a couple, like you could be Clint Eastwood, you could be, everybody. And you just put it on. And it's like wearing a nylon, almost like the pantyhose mask that the old school bank robbers on TV used to wear, But you can breathe through it. You can talk normally. You could do all of that stuff. That's another adversarial thing. I mean, there's... and they're like, you could wear it for Halloween. If you get caught and it's like July 31st and you're wearing one of those masks, your reasons for wearing it are probably not on the up and up. And it's like, that should be probable cause. I mean, you know what I mean? That would fit my definition. Like, why do you have this? You can't say you're going to a Halloween party or somewhere or whatever. It would definitely make me want to ask more questions. I'm in a school play and I get to play Clint Eastwood. I'm like, are you? Let me take a minute and find out.
So we have no artificial meat in our soups, and then we have no artificial people on the streets with these Temu masks. And then our friend Dirk just messaged us about, since you're talking about artificial meat and soup, you got to talk about how Panera Bread's not baking their bread inside the stores anymore. And I'm like, wait, what?
And we might as well jump in the Subway. They got sued because guess what? Their bread really wasn't bread. Because, if it's actual bread, you paid more, in taxes and everything else. So they just basically, their bread was like a pastry.
Oh, that's so gross.
And since it was a pastry, they didn't have to pay as much. It was some sort of nefarious thing. And it's like, everybody's trying to get over on everybody, man. I just want to do my own thing and not have to answer a bunch of questions about it because I don't do anything exciting. Because for me, it's the inconvenience. It's the inconvenience of if you stand on your rights and stuff, you're definitely going to increase the amount of time you're sitting in a traffic stop. I learned a long time ago. It's like probably the one thing I will say it's not probably. It is the one place I won't push back on because I don't want to be inconvenienced, is when you roll through those ID/are you carrying any weird fruit from Mexico stops and, produce and vegetables and junk like that. Mm-hmm. They ask you the simple questions. You got any of these vegetables? No. Here's my ID. Go on. I just want to go.
Yeah.
Because some places, when they pull you over to secondary, you're going to be there for a while. And my whole thing was when we were doing a camper van traveling, it's like the last thing I want is to be sitting on a curb, right, or in a chair, because a lot of places have little chairs you can sit, while they pull everything you've packed so carefully and meticulously in your camper van out looking for stuff. Because they're not going to put it back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Their job is to make sure you don't have it. You don't have it? Okay, guys, you got about 10 minutes, put all the stuff back. So then you're going to be throwing everything in there, and you're going to have to pull over somewhere and take the time, right, and repack it. And I just don't want that inconvenience.
Yeah.
And a lot of stops are like that, where people just like, I'll just tell you whatever you want so I can go. I don't want to be inconvenienced. So, unless you set up a DUI checkpoint in front of my house and then want to ask me all these questions after I've sat there for 5 minutes while 2 cops are yucking it up. Okay, I'm like, you need to get out of my way. I'm parking right here. Hold on there, guy. Hold on, nothing, man. I don't have time for you guys to stand there and yuck it up. I've been working all day. Where are you coming from? That's absolutely none of your business. I just know that you've got this set up right in front of my house, and I've sat here for 5 minutes while you guys talked about football and your wife and possibly going fishing, because I could hear it all. I'm like, get out of the way. So they did. They moved right out of the way because I was hot. It's like, come on, man. Plus, I had to pee real bad. It was one of those instances where I didn't pee right before I left. Because I used to do that. Because remember in the wintertime, sometimes you get stuck on the side of the road because the bridge would ice over and junk.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a story that me and you share. That nobody else, like, what are they talking about? So we had bridges that would ice, and sometimes you'd have to sit there and wait. So it always made sense to potty before you left work.
Yeah.
It also made sense to go in there and potty and then leave and not sit there and count coupons so you get locked in the building overnight. And you weren't supposed to be there, so what do? You just sleep it off in the bathroom until somebody opened up the door and snuck around. Oh, you're here early? Well, I just came to,
Oh, my God.
You know who I'm talking about. She's the same lady that passed me going around the curve to get on the highway. It's one lane, right? The on-ramp. Mm-hmm. She passed me in her car.
Yeah.
On the right. On an on-ramp to get on the road. We're talking a curve, right? And she did not look to the left not one time because I was looking out my window to the right screaming because she was about to kill me and run me off. It was bad, man. So I pulled over, let her go by one time. I'll just sit here on the side of the road. She needs to get far enough ahead of me. And she's a lovely lady, but holy moly, man. Yeah, it's good times. So speaking of good times, you put something in here, or did I put this in here, about scientists may have made a sweet discovery in interstellar space, offering clues to the origin of life.
Yeah.
You did?
No, I didn't put that in there.
Oh.
I don't know what it is. I'm just like...
So basically, here's what it boils down to. The scientists have discovered a bunch of molecules in the cosmos, right? But for the first time, they were able to detect one in interstellar space. From very, very far away. I remember why I put this in here now. Because I got diabetes.
Okay.
Right? And guess what that molecule is?
What?
Sugar.
All right.
So to sit there and tell me I need to watch my sugar, what am I supposed to do, man? There's nothing I can eat, right?
Yeah.
It's coming from space. You got sugar in space. So if you take all the chemical ingredients together for the necessary ingredients for for life to form and all that stuff, we got sugar out there.
Yeah.
So they consider sugar to be one of the fundamental building blocks of life, and on Earth, of course, they play a vital biological role. But yeah, they're out there looking, and they found these chemicals and stuff, and guess what's there? Sugar. The detection of erythrulose is very exciting because it opens up the possibility of discovering in space other sugars such as ribose, which is part of ribonucleic acid, and other important molecules that are necessary for the origin of life. I just thought that was kind of crazy. So one major question remains: where did the first biologically important sugars originate? So previous studies identified the sugars such as ribose and glucose in meteorites and asteroid samples, suggesting that some of the organic compounds may have been delivered to early Earth from space. But until now, there's been no sugar. And they found it. So in a molecular cloud, I don't know, it's just a number, right? Near the center of the Milky Way galaxy, they found it. And they say erythrulose or ethylose is a naturally occurring 4-carbon ketose sugar. So that's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one of the theories about how things originated here on Earth, is that it was delivered via like meteorites, asteroids, things like that. So when Mars got blasted, right, by the invisible planet we no longer have, which probably got destroyed via collision, and all that stuff went downstream, hit the Earth, some of it, and that's what started the whole thing. It's a theory. So, yep, they found the erythrulose could form inside icy dust grains. So there you go. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Kind of nutty. So speaking of nutty.
Okay.
I guess we have to talk about Jimothy. Which is kind of funny because in the title of our podcast, that's the very first thing we said, and we didn't talk about it until almost one of the last things. But it's that weird raccoon with the short spine. So he's like this hunched over, critter running around all crazy, and everybody seems to love this Jimothy guy.
Yeah, I love him too. I'm just worried because while I appreciate like the creative and the weirdos in Seattle, I actually had a little mini Jimothy festival, like art festival, where they all created art and like murals and stuff and had a little dance, like a block party, dance party thing. The real concern is that people are going to come into this neighborhood, figure out where this neighborhood is, and either try to capture him or interact with him. And
he's going to wind up chomping on somebody and getting put down.
Or worse, like
locked up.
It's going to make him overly trusting, and he's going to be out in the daytime and get mauled by a dog or hit by a car or something.
That's possible.
And I don't want that to happen. I want, yes, this is a beautiful glimpse into how unique nature is.
Yeah, because he has a congenital spine shortening disease.
Yeah.
So he runs around almost like a bug. It creeped me out. Because if you take all the hair off of him, you can make him into a weird looking critter you'd see in a movie like Chronicles of Riddick or something like that.
Yeah. And there's
an alien world.
There's actually like 2 or 3 famous dogs that have short spine syndrome. One of them is Cooper. He's a 9-year-old American foxhound, and he looks a lot like Jimothy. And then there's this, I can't remember. There's a German shepherd. What is his name? Quasimodo.
That is
I know, right? I was just like, oh no. So, yeah. And Quasimodo and Cooper are actually friends. So they're 2 short-spined dogs that play with each other. And everybody's like, we should get them all to meet up. And I'm like, absolutely not. No. We just need to let these animals live their lives.
Yeah.
And if we find more unique creatures, cool. Let's let scientists interact with them and nobody else. And it's weird that I say that as a content creator, and the first person to pick up.
So what you're saying is no good will come of this.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Just like I had a trail camera and we kept catching like all sorts of cute stuff like skunks and squirrels. And then
if enough of Jimothy with the congenital spinal shortening disease, whatever.
Yeah.
Is that hereditary? Can you pass that along and be like a whole community of Jimothys?
So it's really rare
because if people recognize that, because I mean, honestly, if you were out in the woods and you seen that thing come running at you, you'd probably try to take action, right? But now that he's got popularity, people are just going to let it roll. And all of a sudden you're going to have a whole bunch of these little spider looking things running around.
So we're not sure with raccoons.
Create a whole new race.
But with these dogs, there's 2 more. Yoshi and Yogi are also 2 short-spined dogs. With the dogs, what they found was that the female needs to carry this one gene, and then the male needs to carry these 2, and they're both recessive. So
Well, it's usually how it works. It's in the genes.
and so it's a combination of like 2 or 3 recessive genes, and all of Jimothy's siblings are fine. So because
Yeah, but say Jimothy hooks up with another congenital shortened spine having raccoon.
we'd have to.
Would that keep making them? Because they're obviously, those genes are not recessive in those two, or wouldn't be recessive in those two. So wouldn't that be passed on, I would think?
I don't know. This means we got to break out that little 4 square thing and start putting gene codes down.
Yeah, where you find out your eye colors don't match your parents. So
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, that was not fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but y'all just let Jimothy live, and do not try to breed short spine dogs because you think they're cute.
Why don't you put that on the front of the can? Now everybody's going to try to breed.
Stop. Oh, no. So, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up the podcast with this thing. I put this in here because this is fantastic. Right?
Why is the video unavailable for me?
Because you don't believe. You got to be a believer to get past the... So the Daily Mail has an article that says, Monster Sharkzilla, right, leaves trail of carnage off New York coast as scientists probe the nuclear mutant theory.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, this is great. This is how, you got this, right? Leaking nuclear fuel creates these giant whatever. And remember how I made you watch that movie, Them?
Yes.
Which actually was pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The next one I'm going to make you watch is...
You're not going to make me do nothing. I can fall asleep.
Well, I know, but I'll wake you up during the good parts. Oh, wow, man. I can't even think of... Oh, that's going to bug me. Anyway, I'll it's such a great movie. It actually has Leslie Nielsen in it. And it was one of the first sci-fi movies that used the premise of inheriting ancient technology.
Yeah.
And, of course, the ancient technology went wrong. But this is in the 50s. And it actually is a really good movie. But, yeah, I'll find it. Or if you could do, like, Leslie Nielsen sci-fi movie. This is before it became Frank in the, comedy movies and stuff.
Leslie Nielsen, ancient technology movie.
No, sci-fi. Why are you trying to search all hard, man? Just make it
Forbidden Planet?
Yes. Forbidden Planet. It's actually a good movie.
I may have already watched it on.
Well, you need to watch it as an adult. Everybody watches them on a Sunday.
I did watch it as an adult. It was on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
You can't watch it with those guys because they chop up great movies and stuff, and do snarky comments, and you actually lose the the zest of the movie, especially for classics and stuff. So, anyway, a mysterious predator is lurking off the coast of New York, right?
Yeah.
And it sparked a hunt for this dangerous monster shark, which in turn made me go save all the Jaws movies so you can rewatch them.
No.
Yep, first one freaked me out. We used to live at the beach. I didn't go in the water for a long time. So here's what's happened so far. They found a humpback whale. Had a 24-inch bite mark on it. That's huge.
Yeah.
And then they found a gray seal. Had a 22-inch wound. And then a 400-pound tuna was ravaged in the water, right?
Yeah.
So this trail of carnage has turned Montauk. You guys know about Montauk?
Yeah.
Right? Into ground zero for a real-life shark hunt, right? And they're looking for, of course, this Discovery Channel for the whole Shark Week thing, Shark Month or whatever it is. And so the episode is called Sharkzilla Takes New York, and it's airing, it's probably already aired by now, but. And so there's a local shark scientist, Craig O'Connell, who believes that the brutal attacks could signal the return of enormous predators once thought to have vanished from the region.
Yeah.
But see, he also raised this more disturbing possibility that decades-old barrels of leaking nuclear waste could have affected the wildlife, right? Inside a vast underwater canyon that's off the coast. They just, back in the olden days, they'd just be chucking these barrels of nuclear waste in the deepest holes they could find. And if they're leaking, hanging around nuclear material, what happens? You get mutinized, grow big, go crazy, and start attacking stuff. So, yeah, that's terrible. That if we're doing that sort of thing, Russia still does that. They dump, spent nuclear rods from submarines in the deepest spots they can find. And they've been doing it forever and leaking new weapons. So anyway, so if his controversy theory is true, the team could be hunting a genetically altered shark that is faster, stronger, and deadlier than an ordinary shark or ordinary predator shark.
Okay.
So, and this is just basically a synopsis of the show, right? With the storm rapidly approaching, O'Connell and his crew find out they have just 30 hours to find the creature, tag it, and collect tissue for radioactive testing. And so you know what they're calling him? Sharkzilla.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, the trail of carnage has turned Montauk into ground zero. So we're going to watch it if we can find it and figure out what's going on. So, yeah. So they started looking for this Sharkzilla in September, at the end of September in 2025. So, because there have been reports of a large marine animals that were being attacked, right?
Yeah.
And so it says Montauk was once famous as a destination where fishermen could encounter exceptionally large sharks, but years of intense fishing has devastated the numbers. So it says, O'Connell says in the past, this is a place you go catch these monster sharks, just in general. So, yeah, man, they went about 100 miles off Montauk to Hudson Canyon, which is a gigantic underwater gorge that begins at a depth of roughly 900 feet before it plunges down to about 4,000 feet. So, yeah. In the late 1960s, they dumped more than 15,000 barrels of nuclear waste in Hudson Canyon. 10 years later, they went out to check on these barrels, and they were all leaking.
Oh.
You know what that means?
What?
It's just the beginning. They're going to have some big, giant monster sharks. Biggest submarines out there. And they're going to call them, right? They're going to give them, like, what's new in Latin? Novus?
Novu?
Yeah, Novu Megalodon. Dun, dun, dun.
It's Novus, Novu, Novi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. What do you think about that?
Nuclear
shark. That's how they created Godzilla. Atomic blast, right? We're going to have Sharkzilla. I think that's scary and kind of fun.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we'd have to drive like 6.5, 7 hours just to get to the beach. Unless they get hung up in a Sharknado. Then what are we going to do? Stay in the house. Lock the doors and the windows and just be ready. Right?
Okay.
Got Starlink.
Yeah.
Get on the internet. Live stream it. Hey, guys. I'm pretty sure there's a shark in a tornado. That's something that's becoming a theory around here. During Hurricane Helene, people were reporting that, hey, man, I've seen a tornado.
It was already confirmed.
Yeah, but they were saying, no, there's no way to have tornadoes. And now they're actually put out the papers that says, yes, it has been confirmed. But during when it was happening and shortly thereafter, no. And it's like, how can you look at that and tell me that's caused by what? Just regular wind? No way.
I have a video with 200,000 views of me and Stephanie.
Was it actually confirmed in paperwork in a study? No, so it didn't happen. That's why we don't, allegedly we don't have big cats in Western North Carolina because of some guidelines. Like, we don't have enough big cats to constitute having big cats. So how many big cats do you have to have before you actually have big cats? How many Black Panthers do you actually have to see before you can say there's Black Panthers?
That's so dumb.
Yep, pretty much. That's just kind of how it is, though. So, anyway, I think we're going to go ahead and take a second to wrap up the podcast. If you've made it all the way this far, congratulations.
Yeah.
It's done. So anyway, there you go. This has been CreepGeeks Podcast.
Yes.
Season 10, Episode 365. Jimothy, Ancient Swords Everywhere, Adversarial Clothing, Flock Cameras, and we forgot to talk about ghost house sitting in Japan.
Oh, it's a real job, y'all.
Yeah.
And it pays good, too, surprisingly.
So why don't you nuts and bolts it?
Basically, you work with a realtor network, or you work with a realtor, and if the realtor has a couple or family that's interested in moving into a place, that's great, but it is standard in many areas that before the couple or the party buying the house, will even submit an offer, one of the parties has to pay to have somebody spend the night inside the house or spend 24 hours inside the house to confirm that the house has no haunting or bad spirits.
Yes.
Yeah. And you basically get to buy groceries for 24 hours, and then you get locked inside. But, like, they have to, depending on the house, they have to turn the power back on. They have to turn the water back on. We don't have that here.
No. I like the idea of somebody staying there and having everything up and running, so they can say, I wonder how many spirits and scary stuff been reported by leaking pipes behind walls and all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
I just thought it was interesting that that's how serious
I think
they take
in
it.
Japan you can walk out of the contract if you've got evil spirits and stuff. So
and
if you have somebody certified to sit in there and go, guess what? It's certified clean. That means you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
I think Japan is, in some places, man, you can buy houses for stupid cheap because everything's been empty for so long.
Or it's got bad spirits attached to it.
Yeah. Or just the rumor of bad spirits. That's the trick, man. If you're a real estate developer,
there's a couple of
start telling people, oh, that's haunted, man. Oh, you don't want that one. That one's super haunted.
See, that's the thing though. There's like a couple of, we all know there's that haunted forest, but besides that haunted forest in Japan, there's also like a couple of haunted fishing villages in the northern part of Japan.
Yeah.
And those are the ones going for, like, you could get a really nice deal, house right on the lake, but you got to deal with these evil spirits.
Yeah. And then you also have to bring the house back to whatever standards are there.
Yeah.
Within a certain period of time.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right.
That's kind of cool. I don't know if I'd want that job.
Nope.
I mean, you're cool 90% of the time, but it just takes the one time. I mean, what happens if you're like the ghost house sitter and you're like, no. Come out all crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, man, there's stuff flying around.
I think they also have a contract with that ghost sitter where it's like you can't deliberately say a place is haunted and then put a bid on it.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, because that'd be
sketchy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. We do appreciate you taking time to listen. So, anyway, see you later. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Bye, Sickle.
Bye.